Most candidates give an opinion in Part 3, but very few can actually explain and support it well. Today, let's look at what a solid Band 7 answer really sounds like. Let's talk about the environment. Do you think individuals can really do much to protect it?
Yes, I think individuals can make a difference, although one person's impact is probably quite small on its own. For example, people can reduce waste, save energy, use public transport more, and try not to buy things they don't really need. On its own, one person's effort might not seem like much, but if millions of people do the same thing, it can actually add up to something significant. That said, I don't think individuals should be expected to solve environmental problems all by themselves.
Why do you say that?
Because a lot of environmental problems happen on a much bigger scale than what one person can control. Things like industrial pollution, deforestation, or carbon emissions from factories can't really be fixed just by people changing their daily habits. Governments and big companies have far more money, power, and technology to deal with these issues. They're the ones who can create environmental laws, invest in clean energy, and improve public transport systems. So I'd say individual actions matter, but they need to be supported by governments and businesses as well.
Some people know that environmental problems are serious, but they still don't change their behavior. Why do you think this happens?
I think convenience is a big reason. People usually go with whatever option is easiest or cheapest, even if they know it's not great for the environment. For example, driving your own car is usually more convenient than taking the bus. There's also kind of a mindset problem. A lot of people think, well, what difference can just one person really make? And when everyone thinks like that, nothing really changes. So I think the real problem isn't that people don't know. It's that eco-friendly choices need to be easier, cheaper, and more practical.
What can governments do to encourage people to be more environmentally friendly?
I think governments need a mix of rules and incentives. For example, they could improve public transport, give support for renewable energy, and make recycling more convenient for everyone. They could also put higher taxes on things that are really bad for the environment. But just telling people what not to do usually doesn't work that well. If governments really want people to change, they also need to give them realistic alternatives. Basically, people are more likely to make green choices when those choices are convenient and don't cost too much.
What about businesses? Do you think companies should be responsible for protecting the environment too?
Definitely. Actually, I'd say businesses have an even bigger responsibility because their impact on the environment can be huge. One big company can produce more waste or pollution in a single day than a normal person produces in several months. So companies should be encouraged, or sometimes required, to use cleaner and more responsible production methods. At the same time, I think consumers still have some power too. If enough people choose eco-friendly products, companies will have a good reason to change how they operate. So ideally, governments, businesses, and consumers should all be working toward the same goal.
Finally, do you think environmental problems will get worse in the future?
I think they might, especially if governments keep delaying important changes. Population growth, more people moving to cities, and higher consumption could put even more pressure on natural resources. But I wouldn't say I'm completely pessimistic about it either. Technology is developing really fast, and we're already seeing progress with things like renewable energy, electric vehicles, and more sustainable farming. I think the future really depends on whether we can combine new technology with actual changes in how people behave. Technology can give us solutions, but people still need to be willing to use them.
If you had to sum up your opinion in one sentence, what would you say?
I'd say protecting the environment is really a shared responsibility. Individuals can change their habits, businesses can change how they operate, and governments can create the right conditions for long-term change. No single group can fix this problem alone. But if all three work together, I think real progress is definitely possible.
Thank you. And that's actually a good lesson for Part 3 in general. A strong candidate doesn't just give a simple opinion. They explain their idea, back it up with examples, and think about the bigger picture too. See you in the next lesson, right here at Marin English Lab.